This is Greg from FRC Foamies. I wanted to do a quick walk around video here of the RCPowers Eurofighter version 5. Dave and Shannon released this last week and I thought, wow, that's a nice looking plane. I'm going to give it a shot. I did the F-15 version 5 and it flew great, very fast. This looked like a nice slow flyer from Dave's video, the intro video, and I'm all about slow flying, so I jumped on this right away. One of the things that is optional on this plane are the KF2 airfoils. Those are included on the plan, but since they are optional, I opted for the leading edge flaps, which I've loved since the RCPowers SU-30 version 4. And Jay and I have been putting them on the FRC Foamies planes as much as possible. I like the lighter weight, less drag, and still gives you a ton of lift. And especially for slow flying, I love that. The Delta planes only have a couple control surfaces, just the elevons and rudders, so connecting up the servos and programming the radio is super easy. I did not do anything with the canards. I did not activate the canards at all, other than shaping and rounding and beveling. That's all I did. The canards on this plane, you can see, are a lot further away from the wing than like on an Su-37 or a MiG 2.88. It's a lot closer, and what those canards are doing are routing airflow over the wing, help it at higher angles. These are more used for trim, but from what I understand, they're going to be retrofitting some new hardware onto the Eurofighters to bring those closer to the wing and have them behave more like on an Su-37. It's supposed to increase their performance and turning radiuses and things like that, so that'll be interesting to see. But for now, I've just got those beveled and sanded and not activated. Those are in standard stock position. I've got the leading edge flaps at a 20-degree angle, which is pretty mild. We've gone as high as 25 for real slow flyers. So this is like a midway angle on the leading edge flaps. So yeah, we got the elevons, rudder, all with the recommended throws. What I found was the layouts of the servos on the plan are ideal in order to get the right center of gravity. So use the positions that Dave and Shannon put on the plans for those servos. And what you'll find is I'm using a Microjet version 3 on a 6x4 prop. I was going to try my slow fly setup, which is a 7x3.8 wide slow fly prop on a 2S, but there's no room between the nacelles here. The prop slot, if you extend it, you start cutting into the fuselage here. So I didn't want to do that. That'll make it a little bit flimsy on the structure. So I'm using the Microjet version 3 6x4 prop, 1500 3S battery. I've got my receiver and ESC up a little bit further so that helps with maintaining the battery position right here, right around center of gravity. When you keep the center of mass of the plane around center of gravity, it feels like the plane maneuvers a lot better, so that's what I'm doing here. One thing I did want to mention is that on the plans, Dave and Shannon included the foam spacers for the motor. So you can't really find too many lighter motors than the Microjet version 3, but say you put a lighter motor on here, moving it back would allow for a better positioning of the battery. Otherwise a battery would be, you'd have to push the battery right up against the motor mount here, might run out of some room. Also, if you're using a heavier battery, say a 2200, that 2200 you'd have to pull it way back here and try to sit it right here to get the center of gravity to balance out. And that might be a little bit difficult to do. So in that case, you definitely want to use those shims to bring the motor back a little bit so that the battery will have more flexibility in its positioning. Speaking of center of gravity, I cut out these holes in the wings here. This is on the plans you'll see a center of gravity range, and these are the black squares in the center, which is the starting point for the center of gravity, and then you can move up to nose heavy and tail heavy from there. I actually put those holes there so I can stick my fingers under the wing and balance them on my fingers, and that's an easy way to find center of gravity. I like the fact that the battery is in line with the motor. That really makes a nice neutral feeling plane, and that's what you got here with this battery tray location. Very nice. So once the wind dies down before sunset, I'm going to go out and give this thing a shot. I'm curious to see what it flies like. It looks great in the video that Dave put out. The single stabilizer planes that I've flown, like our F-16 for example, the prop wash gets separated by that stabilizer right down the middle, and you get some turbulence in there. But from Dave's video, it didn't look like that was the case. So I'm really going to be looking forward to seeing how that works out. But what a super quick build, very solid design. It's very strong, and it comes out to only 14.8 ounces using foam tack and the fiberglass tape with a 1500 3S battery. That's going to be spectacular performance with the Microjet version 3.